The views, opinions, and representations expressed on the Kagos Radio Network and its website are those of the host, guest, and participants. UFO Talk Radio can, but does not necessarily promote any particular lifestyle, belief, religion, political affiliation, or other personal practice. These shows are for entertainment purposes only, and they are not intended to treat or diagnose and/or claim to cure any disease or condition, or give any medical or legal advice. All music is purchased and owned by LGA Broadcasting.
I got the windows rolled down, got the radio up, and I'm heading out of Vegas tonight. And it's a 1:30 on a 4-day run, and the desert is a welcome sight. I can see you there in that dress you wear, and it's keeping my foot on the gas. I drink a gallon of Joe just to make it back home and hold you in my arms at last. There's a full moon shining, lighting up the highway like a beacon to you.
Are you ready? What you are about to experience is real. Right along with us. From deep in the desert of Nevada, The Glenn Larry Show.
And I'm telling you what a night it's going to be, to tell you for sure. Yeah, I've been waiting to do one of these shows really for quite a while now about Bigfoot, and it is going to be a fun show tonight. We're going to be taking callers. We have a gentleman from Washington State. He's a great hunter. He has met, and well, not met, I guess he's experienced many Bigfoot. Medford, Oregon area is where he's from. We're going to have him on real soon. But I do want to thank you all for tuning in, and I do bid you all welcome, whatever time zone you might be in or where you're from. I want to say hello to my friends Neil and Barbara over there and in London, Ken D in Florida, Chief Hall, of course, and my buddy Randy. All my friends and affiliates out there, Kirk McDonald and everybody, my friends, oh my goodness, they're out there, and we thank them for listening. All the Facebook people, the folks on YouTube, thank you so much. Subscribe and like. We appreciate for doing that. And also on TikTok. Follow me on TikTok. The best of the best is coming out, I'm telling you. And next year it's going to be even more fun. We just did in the new studio out here. We're going to have guests coming in and out all the time, too. It's going to be fun. That's going to be part of the show. Can't wait for that. How was your week? My week was fantastic. Got a lot done. Planning for my big little cruise trip with my family. And got my buddy watching the studio, going to be in here doing things himself. So that's going to be fun for him. And somebody's got to take care of the little kitty cat, my cat. My God. I'm worried about the cat and Chris's dog. I mean, I love animals like you wouldn't believe. You all know that anyway. But Chief Hall, how's he doing? I hope he's doing very well. Anybody that's sick out there, please, I pray for you. God heal them. And I also would like to say a happy birthday to anybody out there. And if you have an anniversary, happy anniversary to you. I've seen a couple of folks there on the Facebook page. They pop up, and thank God they do, because I'm the worst person to keep track of birthdays and anniversaries and what have you. I'm lucky I know it's a holiday, you know what I'm saying? I find out it's a holiday when the post office is closed, except for Christmas and Thanksgiving. And my birthday, yeah, November 24th, I'll be 68 years old. Yeah, your Glenn Larry will be 68 years old. And I have a twin sister. She'll be the same age, of course. And I got so many friends at the high school, very close to my age, and some a little older. But, you know, hey, it's going to be good times. Look for the new things happening. And a lot is happening. What's happening out there? More UFOs have been seen. Yeah. And I have seen them myself, as you know, the different shows we've had. More ghosts are appearing. More ghosts are ramping up, especially around my house. It's pretty weird. Things have been going on. We're getting stuff on camera, too, by the way. I'll be showing that. You'll be seeing that down the road. And, the UFOs, the ghosts, just the Bigfoot stuff coming up. Yeah. Have you ever seen a Bigfoot? Have you ever experienced a Bigfoot? I have. I was camping, and I'll tell you, I was scared out of my wits. We packed up, we left. When things are straight, we're thrown into the camp. I mean, rocks and all sorts of stuff, branches. And we couldn't see anybody. We actually went out there looking for them, and we couldn't see anything. But they were being thrown in at force. And I said, let's just get out of here. And it's in the Capitol Forest over there. Yeah, and they're being seen everywhere, and they are everywhere, in the forests and all over the countryside, even in Alaska. They call them Getty, they call them Sasquatch, Bigfoot, many other names they call them. Have you had an experience? If so, we'd like to hear about tonight. After I interview my man here, this gentleman, his name's Chris. Chris, are you on the line, my friend? I hope that Chris is there. You there, buddy?
I'm here.
All right, you can hear me, Chris. You're from, you are from Medford, Oregon.
That's where I live currently, Medford, Oregon.
Yeah. And how long have you been a hunter? Have you hunted all your life?
Since I could walk, pretty much. I mean, I had a little BB gun that throw a BB about 20 feet if you're lucky, but I was about 4 or 5.
Yeah.
But yeah, oh yeah, I've pretty much been a hunter all my life.
Wow. And you're about my
Not
age.
pretty much.
Are you-
Yeah, I'm 72. Well, 71 will be 72 in a few weeks.
That's a good age, buddy. It's a good age. Gosh.
Well,
Now-
we're still on the right side of the grass.
Yeah. And we're standing up. Yeah. And when I was in my 20s, and I had friends that were older gentlemen, people I knew, and I go, God, he's old. Oh my God. I don't even want to hear the word old. If you know what I'm saying. My body does. It feels it too, but I mean, the mind, we're trying to keep that going. Yes. Well, Bigfoot is, a lot of people back in the 70s were saying, it's a bunch of people. That's nothing. Yeah. And I was quite interested in that. And of course, UFOs in my day, and still am. And as you know, and I'll tell you, the Bigfoot thing is real as can be. And I'd like to ask you, when was the first time you were engaged or saw your Bigfoot or your Getty or your, what do you call them, Sasquatch or what have you? And as we get into the story, I want you to tell me a little bit about the different ones and your stories. So we're going to kind of open to you. Would you tell us, start by the beginning? How did it all happen? How?
Well, yeah, it's back in the day, 50 years ago, when I was always a hunter and outdoorsman. Nobody had an idea about Bigfoot, and I had really several encounters that I didn't really recognize as encounters, and a lot of other people that are listening are having the same thing happen to them. They'll see an unusual structure out in the woods and not know what the hell it is, and they'll see trees torn in half and twisted around, and they'll see things and they'll look at them and they'll go, or what we call glyphs, which are signs that the Sasquatch make of different things. But a lot of the people listening have experienced those but don't even know it. And it is because they don't believe it. And I know that from experience because I wouldn't believe it.
Are you talking about crackling and broken branches and tree limbs that you hear crack in the background? Is that what you're seeing?
Oh yeah, that and even they make structures out in the woods that they sleep in. Okay, and
Yeah.
I've walked into those and I go, what the hell is this?
Really?
And oh yes, usually in the deep woods, because I was a solo hunter. I'd go way deep, miles into the wilderness. Back back 1970s, which was fairly unheard of. Back then. I mean, not from my type of people, but for the general crowd. Most people were afraid to go way back there, and we didn't have the equipment we have now.
Right.
That would allow you to go so far back in there. But I did anyway, and I had some pretty strange experiences. First off, you asked the first one. Probably the first one was I was going into a deep trip, going into up by Waldo Lake in Oregon, and I had them screaming at me at night. I was solo, and I was in about 12 miles into the deep wilderness, and but I refused to admit it. I even came back 3 more times, and but that was kind of crazy to do that, but I just didn't really believe it. And then I was a student at the University of Oregon during this period of time, and I was an honor student. and I'd go up the McKenzie River, and for Dead Week I'd camp up there and do my papers and write my papers and read my books that I need to read. And anyway, one night I left. I was right by the river. The McKenzie's a beautiful, beautiful river in the Cascades, and almost you can't tell people how beautiful it is. But anyway, I put 3 oranges out on this fallen down cedar log by my campsite. And the next morning I got up and they were gone, and in their place were 3 little stones. Okay. And then it was twice I did it with apples, and they took the apples and got 3 little stones. And I've heard people like me that had the same experience, only they got fish instead of stones. I had cheap Sasquatch, I guess. But the point is that that's not an animal behavior. Okay, animals don't do that.
No.
I've been around animals all my life. Okay, that's not animal behavior. No, I didn't pay much attention to it at the time because I didn't believe in Sasquatch for decades. And but all these curious things that happen. Me tracking through the woods. I'm solo elk hunting up in the deep Cascade Range, and they track you alongside you. Typically, there'll be a clear cut, and there'll be a fire road around the clear cut. They plant trees in the clear cutted area, but then it'll back up to old growth timber. And so you're walking along that little road or space, fire road, and they'll track you just out of your sight. And many people you'll hear the same thing from me. Everything you hear from me, you'll hear from 500 other people that it happened to them.
Yeah.
Okay. Or more than that.
Right.
Worldwide. But yeah, no, this happens all the time to people.
Wow.
Now, and it scares people, and it scares them. Sometimes they never go back.
It scared me.
Yeah, you know what it's like. They call that the Club of No Return. Unfortunately, you're a member, so am I. And the Club of No Return means you have this terror inside you, correct?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
It's inside of you. And I'm not I've never been afraid of anything. I was a fighter, and, and I just, I wasn't in the military. I got too hurt to go in. But my sons I got 2 wounded warrior sons.
Thanks for that.
But anyway, yeah, it's all. You're a club. You're a member of the club. You can never leave it.
No.
And that's why I tell people you really don't want to see these things. I never became a true member of the club, even though I'd had all these altercations which I didn't believe in until I saw them.
With that, you don't want to see these things. I don't blame you, although you have many times. But I've heard Native Indians, Native Americans say that they go back with their stories and the tribal stories about these Gettys. I call it something else. They have a name for it, but we call
Sabe
it.
is one that you hear.
Yeah. Okay.
Sasquatch. Sabe you hear a lot. I just call them Sasquatch. It's a bit simple.
Okay. Yeah. Well,
but there are different, and I've never seen but Sasquatch, but there are different other cryptids.
Yeah.
That's the word is.
Cryptids. Yep.
And there's, we could debate where they come from, but I believe in the biblical.
We're going to get into that. I want to hear some more of your stories. So that was the first. You say they have like little huts or something in the woods, or where they camp, and you've been through a couple of those. When was that the first time you saw one, or how'd that happen?
Well, I was up in the first time, the most prolific and the most up near that lake I was telling you about, up in the high Cascades, between the volcanoes up there.
Right.
I found this just beautiful. It's like they'll use like a fallen down tree. They'll be different, but and then from those trees they'll take other trees and put it along and make kind of a tent-like structure, okay, which you can easily walk into. And but they're watching you the whole time because you don't go out there. I don't believe, and most of the time they know you're there, but not always. I've walked up on the ones that I walked up on. They didn't know I was there, and this is pretty typical. They don't know to catch them like that. To see them is a lot of times people see them around running water because they don't hear the approach of the person.
Because of the water.
And my first sight was in that case. That's what happened. And the second one too. The second time I saw one was in the same place, and it was on the Rogue River, up about 40 miles out of Roseburg. There's a big dam, Lost Creek Dam. If you want to, I don't recommend it, but if you want to go see Sasquatch, that's a good place to start because there's a 600-foot earthen dam that boxes the Rogue River, and on each side of it's two big mountains. So they've got wind protection on three sides, actually four.
Smart.
And so that's where both of my sightings were, but I've had other altercations all throughout the Cascades.
Now, did any of those Sasquatches, did they see you or react to you at all?
Yeah, the first one, I had just moved down here as a building official down in the south, and I'd moved back home. I'd worked all over the Portland, Washington. I was up in Washington for 10 years. The first one, I walked up to him, and there was water running. He didn't hear me right away, and it was right behind that big dam I told you about, and the ground had all been contoured, and the trees had grown up.
Okay.
But there was a trail going down there, and I came to the top of where it drops down, and there's a kiddie park where kids climb on jungle bars there, and there's a toilets, and very nice, and a shelter. And I walked in there from the dam, so I'd walk through the woods, and I walked up, and there's somebody down there. And then I go, it's all in black. And then I saw him, he was kind of wandering around like he was looking for some sort of food, and perhaps. And then he became aware at some point. They pick it up pretty quick that I was there. And we were probably 75 yards away, maybe. And he kind of wandered around. Now, this part is going to get real controversial. You're going to have people listening that are going to go, oh, this guy's full of crap. Okay?
Let's hear
But
it.
he went behind what I thought was a copse of trees, and he disappeared. What? Where'd he go? You know? So I went. I was freaked out a little bit. So I came back the next day, and I went down there where I saw him, and there was no trees that he could hide behind. And if you listen to people like me, you'll find out that hundreds or thousands, can't deny it, thousands of people have had the same story. I mean, people do deny it. The deniers are generally afraid, and you know this from your experience. They're just afraid of it, the whole topic. And
I would go back to the research, but I would be armed. I would not want to shoot one if I had. I've heard of people shooting.
You don't want to shoot.
Well, this is. I'm going to hold on to your one thought here.
Yeah.
A story had come out that this gentleman had actually shot at them, and of course they vanished, but they came back. They came back with more of them, and they beat on his house, the roof. They destroyed his cabin. In the morning, it was just beaten that you can imagine.
There's a lot of stories like that.
You know, and another guy had said that he had shot a younger one and buried it in it was in Montana, in the woods. And he felt guilty years after. He went to the sheriff, and they dug up the bones, and it wasn't human, but they didn't know what it was. Crazy, man. Is there, back to your thought, you were telling your story about the small one. Now, was it the small one that you saw, or how'd that happen?
I'm not sure about the small one now. I've lost my train of thought.
Well, the one down by the park down there that's walking around looking for something.
Yeah, I went down and I looked around, and there was no place for him to go. You know, you'll find there's hundreds or thousands of stories of people actually seeing him disappear.
Okay.
Now, how are they disappearing is the question. Are they really disappearing, or are they changing their frequency?
Interesting.
People are starting to think now.
Could you talk closer to the receiver, my friend? Talk closer. Talk closer to your receiver. There. Go ahead.
Yeah. So anyway, I don't know the answer there,
Perfect.
but I know that guy pretty much vanished. Now, the
Vanished.
second one I saw, he went behind a tree. I should have come out of the other side of the tree, but he was gone. I went down there. There was only one tree. I thought maybe he went through a bunch of trees or something.
Yeah.
Evergreen trees. But he couldn't have. But he was gone. And then the second one I saw in the same place, pretty much, was but this was just across the other side of the Rogue River, right below that big dam. And you can go down there, and anybody listening can go right down there and try to see them, but I don't recommend it.
No,
'Cause I never
safety
wanted to
first,
wanna get
folks.
in there with-
Safety first. Yeah,
Huh?
I said safety
I don't
first.
ever want. Well, not
Yeah,
only that, you get this terror that they can put inside you, and you have it. You have it.
Yeah.
You're not. I know you do because you saw one,
hmm
and it's called the Club of No Return.
Wow.
And welcome to the club.
Yeah, I
Okay?
get it. I've
I
heard
got
many.
it too, and I don't like it.
No, I don't. It's a feeling that you never want to have again. I've heard so
Right.
many stories from different folks, and got pretty hairy, pretty bad for them. Now, your suggestion: if you're out in the woods, you're camping, and you're all having a good time, and all of a sudden you start hearing this clicking, clunking, and the breaking of wood, of branches, and maybe trees even breaking. So that break is pretty crazy. It's like a baseball. When a ball hits a baseball bat and it cracks like that, that's the sound that I heard. It was
Yeah,
that loud.
that's the most common. One of the most common. One thing you don't want to do in the woods is hit, just like you're saying, take a longboard and hit it against a tree, because that'll get their attention, and they don't like it.
It's the knocking.
They don't like it when you whoop. You do the whoops.
Uh-huh.
They come back usually pretty nastily at people. I don't recommend doing that kind of stuff.
And the whistle, too. Apparently, it's a whistle they do also.
Yeah, there's red whistles. One story I'd like to tell.
Go ahead.
Is on the Rogue River.
Mm-hmm.
And I've got an electric bike, and I'm an old guy pretty much, but I'm pretty active. And anyway, I rode about 8 miles out and down into this beautiful, beautiful valley with ponderosa pines, nice flat. The river was just right down there a little further.
Mm-hmm.
I kind of, what a cool place. Where is everybody? Nobody was around. That's kind of weird. The place as gorgeous as this place is. I mean, it was like a park. Anyway, I was down there, and I on my bike, my electric bike, and I decided I make my lunch. Usually I take a lunch with me, and I get the little stove out, and I cook up whatever I'm going to make for lunch. And, have hot coffee, and have kind of a little meal out there by myself. And anyway, after getting it all started and stuff, all of a sudden I hear snap, and it's a loud snap, okay? And then at my 10 o'clock, immediately come to attention because I know about this stuff. Then at my 12 o'clock, about after 50 seconds, I was timing them, snap over at my 12 o'clock. And then another 50, snap at 10 o'clock, then 12 o'clock, snap back. And on the 6th time, I go, okay, I throw up my hands, okay, I get it. I'm yelling this out loud. And I take my gun out, I got a 45, wave it in the air so they can see it, and I ceremoniously laid it on the ground. And I've already got my meal cooked pretty much. And then I go into my pack, and I get out 2 apples, which I do this a lot. And I recommend it. I don't know if I recommend doing this or not, but I do it. I held the apples up in the air and showed it to them, and I put it on the stump right by where I was cooking my food there. And then I finished cooking my meal. I ate my meal. I even took almost a little snooze. And then I got back on the bike, and I'm going along through this beautiful ponderosa pine forest to this steep hill, which it's not a long one, but I went up there, and just as I got to the top, I got this beautiful, beautiful whistle that cannot be made by anybody on this planet. Okay, right at the top, and I took that as a thank you.
Yeah, I would too.
Okay. Yeah, and and so I don't recommend trying to be around them or anything like that, or even looking for them. But leaving. That's something I do. Not all the time, but I try to do it all the time. Remember to buy the apples or oranges too. They like oranges. They like tobacco too.
Oh,
I've heard other people say.
interesting.
Yeah, other people say.
There's a lady in Montana. She actually feeds the Bigfoot, the Yeti.
A lot of people do that. I don't recommend it. But
yeah.
A lot of people.
And it has been seen by other folks that she has brought to her cabins. And you watch at a certain time, he's going to come here and he's going to take it and leave. And she has to put it farther away from her cabin because apparently they don't want to be too close to whatever. But unbelievable.
Oh, over the decades, some Indians live with the Sasquatch.
Yes, yeah, I've heard this. They have a treaty with them or something.
I guess. But some of them are good and some of them are not. Just like humans.
Right.
Okay. There's good ones and bad ones.
I
don't recommend being around them, but that's just me.
No, yeah. What would you do? What would you tell the folks out there if you're camping, like I say, and one comes up to your camp and starts doing weird things? I mean, you've hiked in quite a bit, and it's now getting dusk, and all of a sudden things start to happen. What do you do?
Well, if you're packed in, there ain't much you can do. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
If you got lights, depending on what you got. Generally, if you're backpacking in, you don't have much for lights.
Right.
So you just got to roll with the punches, I guess.
Right.
But if you're in a car park camping situation like you did the right thing. Get the hell out of there.
We just packed up more. That's enough. I'm not. In the air, I swear, it smelled like something dead or something. Just off smell.
Yes.
Yeah.
I've had that at least 3 times.
Okay. Yeah. Now, if I even smell that, I'm leaving.
It's terrible. It's the worst smell you can even talk about.
Terrible. It's worse than it's so foul.
One of the foulest things I've ever smelled.
Yeah.
You know, it's even worse than a dead animal. A lot of times it smells.
But not like that.
Animal.
No, I've smelled dead animals have a sweet kind of a weird smell too. But I mean, this was terrible.
Right.
Terrible.
And they make that. They can produce that because they don't smell like that all the time.
Oh, really?
You know, some people think that they smell. They don't. I've been that close to them too many times. You know?
Really?
So have thousands of others. But they can make that smell. And why do they do it? To get rid of you.
Right.
I think sometimes a lot of times it's young ones playing games on people.
Really? You think? Wow.
Well, I got an experience with that too up in a place called right up on Mount St. Helens. They call it 8 Canyon, and it's where a famous altercation happened between miners and the whole family of Sasquatch. And anyway, I was up there, and I had one tracking me through the woods, and he's only about 40, 50 feet away, maybe.
Wow.
And he stopped real fast, and I'd stop. And then we'd go about a few steps, and I'd stop real fast, and he'd stop real fast and try to get. And I'd go a little bit more, and I'd stop fast again to try to. And this guy was able to clink into my mind to where he could almost do it as fast as me. And we were just playing a game.
I've heard that they will mimic your voice even out there. Folks have said they mimic other people they've heard and will call your name even. And that's kind of off, weird.
Yeah, that's too creepy, but yeah.
Is it like a different type of paranormal psychic energy along with this frequency that they have? Like you say, I think they have a different frequency, and they can materialize. And normally when this happens, there's a UFO sighting. I'm going to go there.
Sounds crazy, but I believe it. I really do.
And I've had a lot of reports that way. Chris, we're going to go to commercial real fast. I'm going to bring you back, and we're going to talk a little bit more about that. What happens? We'll be right back after this, folks. Stand by.
There's no typical meth user. I was from an upper middle class family. Meth is terribly addictive. My first time using it, I was hooked. There was no turning back. I lost my job. I was homeless. I never thought I'd see my family again. I have a great fear of meth because it took so much of me. I mean, it took everything. Meth took over my soul.
Visit our website at drugfree.org. A message from the Partnership for a Drug-Free America.
Violence, theft, drugs, graffiti. It's all part of joining a gang. In times like these, we need to protect our children and our community from gangs. Gangs often prey on unsupervised teens with low self-esteem, who perform poorly in school, who seek a sense of belonging, or are simply bored. Joining a gang often involves violent hazing rituals. Once in a gang, members can become alienated from their families, school, and friends. Drugs, guns, and malicious activity are common elements in gangs. Trying to leave a gang can be a difficult and dangerous process. The best way to get out of a gang is never to join one. Protect kids from being recruited by a gang. Know who they're hanging out with. Involve kids in after-school activities and provide positive role models. Help reduce gang activities in your community by working with local law enforcement and school systems. Don't let a kid you know get involved with gangs. Visit ncpc.org to learn more or contact your local law enforcement agency.
A message from the U.S. Department of Justice, National Crime Prevention Council, and the Ad Council.
He is back. Now, on UFO Talk Radio, Glenn Larry.
That is right. I am back. I'm back with Chris, he's been a hunter all his life, but he has come across so many experiences with Bigfoot, Yeti, Sasquatch. And Chris, we're back. We were talking about how they disappear. Maybe they're from another frequency. Maybe they're UFOs sometimes appear, and all of a sudden there's a Sasquatch appearance, Bigfoot appearance along with it. Are they connected, do you think?
Well, the big thing that people are thinking now, because a lot of this stuff I'm telling you is kind of a general thought. A lot of people are into this stuff, and you hear the stories like what I'm saying, and you'll hear it. I don't ask anybody to believe me, but to look deeper, and you'll hear the same stories over and over again. Okay, and this, about the disappearances, they just vanish. But one thing I would like to mention, though, because it's an important topic, I wouldn't try to contact them, in any way, but if you're talking about guns and shooting them, they know what guns are. Okay?
Yeah.
They know everything about guns, And the fact is, I'm a gun guy. You aren't going to be able to, you're going to have a real big gun to kill one, okay? And you have to hit them in the head, pretty much. And anyway, you don't want to shoot one unless you absolutely have to. And I carry a big gun when I go around Sasquatch. I carry a 44 Magnum rifle, because I pulled small, just so I have it. But if I'm just out in the woods, I usually have some kind of pistol, larger caliber, the better, But you don't want to shoot one because they will come back and get you. However, there are bad ones that the Sasquatch don't even like. Okay. The goods, they live in families, and there are bad ones out there that are scary and mean and devilish. Okay,
I've heard
and they don't like them either.
That some Indian tribes, Indians, have said that they've actually taken kids from the forest and they've taken women and all sorts of stuff and made them part of their tribe, or part of their little group, I guess, until they were done with them or whatever. I don't know if they ate them. I don't know. So many bad things have happened about these stories.
Yeah, and then there's the possibility of other types of cryptids doing that stuff too.
Yeah.
So I don't like to know. I don't know the answer there, but you hear about Dogman around here, and that's a scary thing.
This is a animal that has a human body, has a dog head. Is that what it's all about?
Yeah, like a Sasquatch, but they're about 7 feet tall, and they're big, huge, weigh several hundred pounds, and they have it looks like a dog's head.
Wow.
And there's a lot of you'll hear about Dogman all over the United States.
Yeah, I've heard this.
But
Mothman and all that.
I talked to one guy here in town that saw one,
Mm-hmm.
and the place he saw it was back where I was stuck once out in the woods there in the middle of a big storm. But luckily I didn't see anything. So anyway, but it was in the same area, general area.
Right.
But yeah, I don't ever want any contact with any of them. So when I do camp now, it's usually if I'm by myself. I stay in my rig that's set up for camping. It's good for sleeping.
Right.
But,
go ahead. I've heard of hunters that have said they're in this hunting tent, but it's all camouflaged, and they put other stuff around it. And they have, of course, a deer walk right up to them and whatever, But when they say they see Sasquatch, Bigfoot, and and it can smell them apparently, especially if you're wearing a type of cologne, I guess. But I mean, they can pick you out and they can hear your thoughts, and they'll look at you and come towards you. And I have not heard of them been destroying some type of a tent or a hunter's tent or whatever it is. But my gosh, I mean, I'd be taking some pictures, so I really would. You got a phone these days? Use it.
It's good to shoot them if you have to, but you don't want to.
No. Is there a law?
There are stories of people.
Is there a law about shooting a Sasquatch or Bigfoot? I heard there might be.
One dumb state says it's legal to shoot them. You should never, it's best the government stays the heck out of it.
Yeah. Well.
I mean, who does at this point?
Well. Yeah.
But anyway, yeah, I don't. You just don't know. I just don't. I don't even tell the government. I don't want to. I don't want to make trouble for the
People should not be afraid of their governments. Governments should be afraid of their people.
Is that not true? Sorry, I had to play
I
that.
couldn't tell it if that was.
Government should be afraid of the people. We shouldn't be afraid of the government.
Yeah, government should be. Yeah, that's the
Yeah.
difference between tyranny and freedom. Is if the government's afraid of
Right.
us, it's freedom, and if they're afraid and we're afraid of them, it's tyranny.
So much
It's
coming.
pretty good at that.
So much coming out now, and it's exciting. The times we live in, and it's scary.
Yeah.
So I'm anxious. We're going to open the phone lines if that's okay with you, Chris. And folks,
sir.
if you want to call in, we have 114-113 open, but I'll let Ross tell you about that.
To talk with Glenn Larry, deep in the desert of Nevada, lines are open at 1-702-874-1114. That's 702-874-1114. Pahrump lines are open at 775-990-8275. That's 775-990-8275.
Thank you, folks. And those are the lines to call. 1114 is open right now. Pahrump line is busy. He's got another caller trying to get through the same line. Unbelievable how that works. Computers. Anyway, but Chris, I'll tell you, so many people have seen this Sasquatch, Bigfoot, and all that. Would you say they're afraid to tell somebody because they'll think they're a kook or something? Or do you
Absolutely.
think that's mostly it, huh?
That's it. That's it. Well, and there's that fear factor. People do not want to be rejected, and nobody likes to be rejected.
Yeah.
And so that's one of the big reasons, they don't say anything because and the people that reject it, that do the rejection,
Yeah.
their idea of a wilderness experience is playing the back nine on the local municipal court. Okay, they've never been out in the woods before.
Right.
Most nine times out of 10.
Uh-huh.
And so they don't know, but they're afraid too. People are afraid of this topic because it's not of this world, is why.
Right. Interesting.
I mean,
Yeah.
Mind speak. I mean, a lot of you. How many people mind get? I've never had mind speak, thank goodness. But
God, what would they say?
a lot of people have.
They've actually spoken to the other person, the Sasquatch has?
Yeah, it's through mind speak. It's very,
Okay.
very common. Well,
It's a mental
halfway common.
telepathy.
I've never had it.
Is it mental telepathy you're saying? That's what it is, mind speak, right?
Mental telepathy.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Okay. Folks, if you want to give us a call and ask Chris more stuff about Sasquatch and Bigfoot, it'd be fun to hear your questions, of course, and maybe some of your stories. Here's some facts that just came to me. It looks like Washington State, to this date, it has 716 seen of this year. Oregon, 259. It looks like Ohio. I guess they're big in Ohio, too, huh? How about that?
Everywhere, really.
Yeah, the number on that, get my glasses on, I
I
apologize.
don't know.
323. California, 460. And, of course, Michigan, 225. Now, you can go to, I believe it's Sasquatch or Bigfoot.com. That's what I looked it up. And on my other computer here, I got some folks emailing me some stuff and give me some facts. And I saw one, man, I shot at it and ran. Well, whatever. You like to say, don't shoot at them, man. You piss them off.
They may come after you, and who can blame them?
No, yeah.
You shoot at me, and I got a gun. I'll probably shoot back.
Yeah, of course. And then you got the guy.
That kind of situation.
You got the guy dressed up in his car's parked maybe a mile away. He hikes in and he's in a Bigfoot outfit. I mean, he's in a costume. And you shoot this thing, and it actually is a person. You just killed a human being. And there's no excuse for it. How you can hold up in court with that one? You know what I'm saying?
Well, these Sasquatch are part human, okay?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I mean, I believe anyway.
Yeah, well, they have, I mean,
It goes back to the book of Enoch. Read it. Enoch was in the book, Noah's great grandfather.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, you can read that book and the book of, and not this book I have not read yet. Is the book of Giants. Enoch was the first book ever written on this planet, and you know, and no, is it in the Bible? No, because Enoch didn't want it in the Bible.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, there's, and then anyway, people that hear this stuff, it'll send them for a loop, you know. So I won't go into it unless you want it. But
Well, it's fine with me.
it's a theory. It's a theory.
Yeah.
I mean,
And there's many out there.
Yeah,
You
and
know.
yeah, and I've, you know, I'm more attuned to that because I've actually seen the darn things, and don't want to see them again either.
Well, I've heard a story from a lady that they were rented a cabin. It's in Montana, and they at that time they had a station wagon, and they were unloading their camping gear and all this stuff. And they went inside. They were there for maybe 3 hours, and of course it got dark, and they had their fireplace going, and the crackling of the fire. And they start hearing another crackling, another louder crackling, and they said that's coming from outside. They walked outside, and there was their station wagon to the side of the road, tipped over. I mean, maybe he was mad. I mean, we're going to open the line here. Hello, caller, where you from, and what's your name? Go ahead.
That's Ken from Florida.
Ken from Florida. We have Chris on the line, and he is a hunter, and he's a Bigfoot. He knows a lot about him. You have a question for him? Go ahead, Ken and Chris.
Well, I'm not quite there on them yet. I live down here in Florida, and they call them skunk apes down here.
Huh.
And I've seen pictures of them along the water, but I can't figure out during hunting season why sometime along the way somebody didn't shoot one, said they thought it was a bear, but nobody's ever shot one. I know if I had a clear shot at one, legal, illegal, I'm going to take it out.
Wow.
Because I wouldn't trust something like that. I'd have to take it out.
I don't trust them either, but I don't want to fight them either.
I never seen one, and I've been all over the mountains of Tennessee, Virginia. I'm from Pennsylvania, and I've never seen any. And I've been in the woods at night. We used to go raccoon hunting. We had a blue tick open trail. And the only thing that ever scared me in the mountains was when that blue tick got a bunch of flopping turkey and they took off. Oh my God, I thought I was going to die that night.
Oh, goodness gracious.
It scared me that bad. But I've never had the opportunity to see a Bigfoot. Wow. But I have seen some things already. I can tell you about that, but I've never seen a Bigfoot.
You have. I know you have. If you've been in the woods a lot, I know you have. You've seen curious things. What the heck is that?
He also, Chris, on the line I have Ken from Florida. He has quite a story about UFOs, and he has really experienced some weird stuff and unbelievable. It's on some of my shows. I'll show it to you later, and you may look it up yourself on YouTube. And Ken's always been a great guest for us. But being a hunter yourself, Ken, and of course Chris, you actually would shoot at it. You actually would you kill it because you're afraid it would come back on you?
I would use my 45-70 on it. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that's the right gun. That's for sure. If you're gonna do it, that'd be a good one.
Yeah.
But I can tell you, if they make it, I bought it.
Yep, I would say that's about true.
If you ever want to fire one of those scare you get a Cyclops. It's a 45-70 Cyclops. Derringer. That'll get you.
Wow.
That'd probably take one down, but you probably to kill it, you'd have to hit it in the head. From what I've heard, maybe you can get them in the heart, but they say that heart is real thick and hard to penetrate for anything but the highest caliber.
Yeah, if they don't disappear on you, right?
Well, they call them the skunk ape down here, and they claim it's real. They claim it smells like a skunk. Well, I know what a skunk smells like, but we don't have them here in Florida.
Right.
But the upper part of Florida around Jacksonville, they got skunk, but not here in this area.
Well, they smell worse than a skunk, and I smelled many a skunk, you know. So, but yeah, this sometimes smells like a skunk, but usually dead animals and shit.
Yeah.
I wonder why they smell so bad.
Well, I think it's something they can produce because they don't always smell that bad, you know. And you hear many different stories because I listen to people, you know. And this is what I encourage other people to do is listen to what everybody else says and make up, take from what they say and take from what I say, and you know, say is that truth, and then just keep track of things that you see in the woods, you know.
Yeah.
And you're seeing this. I bet you're seeing the same stuff we do. I'm up in the Northwest, you know, up in the big.
I do have a friend that lives in Greensburg, Pennsylvania. His name's Stan Gordon.
Yeah.
I did see hair from him, and I did see footprints, but you know,
I saw the hair
a long time ago.
What color was
you know,
the hair?
There's been many tests on the hair and stuff for DNA and stuff.
Yeah.
And it always comes back to the same thing, always, all over the world. Female, human female, and unknown male.
What? That's interesting.
Hundreds of times. Hundreds. Not deniable.
Unbelievable.
You know?
Huh.
Yeah,
Well, there must be some in Pennsylvania because Stan said
yes.
He got the hair and the footprints from outside this woman's kitchen window.
Yeah, exactly.
And he said that window was about 8 foot off the ground. He said this thing was standing outside that window looking in at her. But, you know, that's what he told me. And I was at his house. I seen the hair and I seen the footprints.
Yeah.
And he is in with MUFON. He's been there, oh my.
He's quite a man. Stan
40, 50 years that I know of.
Yeah, great man. We'll have him on.
Yeah, now one thing you might pay attention when you hear noises in the woods, when you hear whoops, don't whoop back unless you really want to, you know. Or if you don't knock against the trees, and because you get a call back, they're going to be there. Okay, if you do any of those things, usually they're.
You live here in Florida, you don't have too much woods. It's palm trees.
You might see a Sasquatch on a golf cart, maybe. I don't know if that's happened, but probably doing a beer commercial.
I've been near Florida. I've been to Alabama. But,
Sorry.
I've never.
Well, Larry, I'm going to let somebody else have some airtime.
Hey.
I wish you a happy birthday.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it, my
I
friend.
hope you make it here to one of these airports, and I'll meet you there.
Okay, I got to talk to some people so we're going. I'm kind of right with the whole group, so we'll see what's going on. I do thank you so much, Ken, and say hello to your lovely wife, will you please?
I will. She's right here beside me.
Okay,
yeah.
good deal. Be well. God bless, and we'll be hearing from you soon. Thank you.
You take care, Larry.
Thank you,
Bye.
sir. Bye-bye. Great folks. I'm telling you, these are folks that call me and from all over the place. I got people in London, England, Australia, Oregon, Medford. Also, I got people in Provo, Utah. I mean, I have a list, and on the radio side, 28 hits. Got Canada, a couple of Montanas, doing very well. Of course, now we're coming up the top of the hour. It's about 7:48 Pacific Standard Time, everybody. I want to thank you for listening. Yeah, man, I tell you, we'll take some more calls. I'll put out this number again from Ross.
To talk with Glenn Larry, deep in the desert of Nevada. Lines are open at 1-702-874-1114. That's 702-874-1114.
Yeah, fantastic. Lines can be open. I'm going to go to commercial real fast. We'll be back with Chris. I'm going to talk more about Sasquatch. Oh, my goodness.
Mom, you wanted to talk to me?
The calendar hypnosis into thumbtack cushion, completely tailwind. And sewing elephants plant before cartoon paper cups. So numbers renovate.
If your teenager is trying drugs or alcohol, would you know the right words to use?
Afterward, lightly fish scale. Doorbell.
Find out what to say at drugfree.org. A message from the Partnership for a Drug-Free America.
And we are back with Chris, and of course, we're talking about Sasquatch, Bigfoot, all that. To tell you the truth, I mean, I believe they're real. You know, we both do. People know they're real. I don't think they're of this planet, though. I think they've been put down here for a reason. What do you think about that, Chris?
Well, I'm inclined to go with. This is kind of a big topic, but if you read the Book of Enoch, it talks about that 200 angels came down to have sex with women.
Oh yeah,
Okay?
I've heard this.
And that's right in the Book of Enoch. It's I can't tell you the Bible section, but it's in there. And that brought in the giants. Okay, and the giants was most people are familiar with Goliath, and Goliath was about the size of what we're talking about, 10 to 12 feet high. His sword was 5 feet 3 inches long. Don't ask me how I know that, but anyway.
Very good.
The giants disappeared, but the Sasquatch didn't. After the flood, the giants disappeared, I guess. And I'm sure there's better people to talk about all that than me, but I'm inclined to believe that. And then in the book of Giants, they talk about these descendants of these angels bred with women. They evidently morphed into these creatures that are still with us. And they apparently in the Book of Giants they were messing with DNA.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, 'cause they had, and from that they mixed animals with humans.
Right.
And that's where the dog man and
right.
There's other types of cryptids that they talk about. I hope I never see one, but
no, me either.
Anyway, that goes back to these are the oldest books ever written.
Right.
And the Bible was put together after that, right? And but Enoch said that he never wanted that in the Bible, but I don't know why. But that's what he did. And
interesting.
The Bible, of course, we believe is the Word of God, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
But who knows? I don't know enough about that to be any kind of expert to talk about it.
Right.
But
right.
Other than to direct people to look for themselves.
Mm-hmm. Well,
yeah.
that's going to go pretty deep. You're right. And I have many people out there.
But that doesn't mean too much. But I encourage everybody to put their own puzzle together.
Right.
Okay, and take in everything you hear from me and everybody else and you and everybody they talk to, and kind of put their own puzzle together if they're intellectually interested.
Yes. Well, I have a picture up here. Those on YouTube and Facebook, if you're seeing this is the picture of a Sasquatch in the woods, taken from a gentleman from a roadway, and they blew it up. And it's huge. Again, the neck goes from the chin to the neck. It's just one big solid, whatever.
Yeah.
I mean, your typical Sasquatch, and it's black in color. Now they do.
Big?
It's big.
Real big.
It's big.
Yeah. The young ones are tall and lanky.
Yeah.
Okay. My first one I saw was tall and lanky.
Right.
The second one I saw at the same area.
Right.
He was a big, huge monster. He didn't give a crap if I saw him or not.
Huh. I'll be darned.
And what I think is, going back to what Ken was saying, he's never seen one.
Right.
Well, as long as you don't ever see one, and they don't want you to know they exist.
Mm.
But once they know, like me.
Right. Myself.
I get it all the time. I get every time I get some sort of. Not every time, but I go out in the woods. I hear clacking of rocks. That's the thing they do. Whooping and hitting the logs.
So
they just know if they know then you're going to see.
Right.
You're going to see too much.
Right.
Yeah, that's why I don't want to see them.
Yeah, I get you. And there are those that want to see them, and they get in trouble, and there's lots of problems. Yeah. Some don't return from the forest.
Yeah, once you see them, you can't unsee them.
No. Huh? Some don't return from the forest. And I wonder if that's part of it, too. Like you say, there's different...
Well, yeah, the missing 411 books.
Yeah.
You should pay attention to anybody.
You betcha.
David Politis.
Yes.
Yeah, he's a very, very respected guy, and he's been doing research on all these disappearances.
I don't know if I've had him on before. That sounds so familiar. If not, we'll get him on. That's back in.
He's very into man.
Yeah, that was back maybe 3 or 4 years ago on our station. I'll have to check in my producer and see what we've had. I keep forgetting. I've had people on.
There's another guy named Steve Ishtal,
and
he does what you're doing, but he's all he does is read the emails that he gets. He's one of the best top professional hunters in North America.
Right, and I have heard of him. Yes, I have.
Yeah, he's got a lot of. That's where I get a lot of my stuff I'm talking about because
Right.
it falls right into what I'm saying anyway. And I go, man, I've done that, been there, done that.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. Yeah.
You know,
Well, Steve,
so I've had him track me through the woods and paralleling, they call it.
Chris, Steve, I'm gonna get a hold of him also. But are you thinking about writing a book at all or doing anything like that in the future?
I don't know. I haven't thought about it. Probably should. I
Yeah,
guess.
it doesn't have to be a long one. It can be a lot of people make blogs and write papers
Yeah.
and all sorts of stuff. And
there's getting to be so many people like me. There's getting to be so many of us.
Yeah.
That are really, pretty knowledgeable.
Right.
I'm more knowledgeable than I want to be. Let me put it that way.
I hear that. Yeah.
As you know, it's scary as hell. And,
That it is. That it is.
Huh?
That it is so much. You're right.
I mean, there are guys that have been in combat, the worst combat, and they said this is scarier.
Wow. Yeah.
And that's why I believe they can implant the terror into you. I believe they have that power. And where it comes from, well, if they are indeed, I know they're not animals. What animal leaves little rocks when you take your apples? I mean, that doesn't happen.
Yeah.
So we know they're not animals. So what are they? You got to ask yourself, and that freaks people out. That's why people are so scared of the topic. They don't want to realize that there really is things. Out there.
I often wonder, will there be a day when we all can? I saw it, folks, and it's really there, and I don't know.
More and more people, Larry.
Yeah. I hope so. I hope that it's a reality and more of a instead of people gawk and say, "Oh, this guy's out of his mind" and all that other stuff. So, I mean, if they can accept this,
they're afraid.
Yeah.
That's fear. Okay.
Yeah.
And I pay them no mind at all.
Yeah. I get it. Well,
like I said, the ones that do it have never. Their idea of solo wilderness adventures, maybe playing the back nine of the golf course.
Right. Yeah.
And they just never experienced that out there.
Yeah.
And it's,
well, I'm open to it. I will hightail it if it gets too scary and if I'm in the woods. To tell you the truth. Hey, I want to thank you. Go ahead.
One thing I'd mention is sometimes they'll mimic crows and other birds, and when they do that, the only way you can tell is the volume because they don't know how to control the volume. They'll do a crow call and it'll be way too loud. So sometimes you can tell that's Sasquatch talking to each other.
Wow.
And other types of birds too.
Yeah.
And they can whistle. I had that one whistle at me like, I mean, there's no way any human could even come close to mimicking that.
Crazy.
And but yeah, they throw rocks. I mean, the whole thing.
Yeah, I know that. Well, then that lady came out. Her station wagon was pushed to the side on its side. Imagine that.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, they're not strong. I mean, they take down trees and everything else because they're in the way, so they can do anything. I mean, they're unbelievable strength.
And they're very fast.
Yeah.
And,
isn't that crazy?
That's why if they really wanted to kill us, they would.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I get it.
And now they don't want to kill us. Some of them are evil, but they don't want to. When there's people missing and get killed and stuff like that, it brings big trouble for them. And it should. They should.
Yeah. Shouldn't be doing that. Right. Well, I've got one more call. Let's take this. Caller, you're on the line. Go ahead. You're with Chris. We're talking about Bigfoot. Go ahead, caller. Are you there with me, caller? Where you from? What's your name, please? Well, I'm not hearing that caller. All right.
One thing I wanted to say about, we were talking about the connection between Bigfoot and UFOs is the orbs.
The orbs. Okay, there we go.
Yes, orbs.
Mm-hmm.
I've seen them, but I've heard a lot more other people seeing them.
Mm-hmm.
And usually you'll see an orb and that has a connection to, they think, the UFOs. And the Sasquatch apparently are in these orbs. I've seen the orbs, but you hear about it all the time.
Right.
Okay. And another thing, this one is really a weird one that I had. Very deep in the I got onto some elk and I was way in the deep forest, real late at night,
Mm-hmm.
and I was coming out, and I saw what I thought was two headlights, and I thought, shit, there could be headlights. There's no car, no road out here for them. So I kept coming, and they kept getting further away. And then I go further, and they keep moving further. And then I noticed after this long period of time, because there's no sound,
Yeah.
there was no motor running.
Okay.
But if it was a battery operated lights, they look like headlights. Or meant to be look like headlights.
All right.
They didn't dim.
Stand by.
And I go, man, this is.
We have a caller. Hold on, please. I'm sorry. I have a caller on the line here that came through and asked my name. Caller, you're on the line with Chris. Go ahead. You're live.
Yeah. Hi there, Larry. Hi, Chris. My name's Patrick. How are you guys doing?
Good. I hope you can hear us okay. I see that people are following us there, but we interrupted his conversation. He was telling me the story. I'm sorry. We got you in. Do you remember what you were saying, Chris? Because I'm sorry. I'm operating this and that. Caller, what?
Oh, yeah. You got your confusing all the stuff you got to do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hang on.
Yeah. I wanted to mention that weird story about the lights. I've never talked to anybody about that ever.
Special lights.
And
Patrick, are you? Patrick,
I felt like I was being drawn into something.
Right. Okay.
Like as a sucker, and I'm out in deep woods up in the Cascade Mountains. You know.
Right.
Right between Mount St. Helens and Mount Adams, actually.
Okay.
And I'm way out there. It scared me. I mean, I go, I feel like I've been baited.
Oh wow.
Just the feeling I get.
Yeah.
And I've never heard anybody. I tell you, I hear these things over and over, these stories over and over again. I've never heard one like that. Exactly.
Huh.
So anyway, yeah, you got to be careful when you're out there.
I have a caller named Patrick on the line. Patrick, go ahead. You'd like to ask Chris a question?
Yeah, sorry, Patrick.
Yeah, I would like to just say hi to both of you. And Chris, I appreciate what you have to say. It sounds very interesting, your history there. My word. But I will say that at one time I did see, we were up at Mount St. Helens, and it was prior to the eruption, and we did see a set of prints, not one set, but two sets. I'd gotten out of the truck just for a second, and I walked across the street, and I just took a look, and there were two sets of prints. And then we just kept on following them, and then these were barefoot prints. There was no shoes or anything like that.
Mm-hmm.
The stride was amazing between the prints. And I followed them, and then one of the steps was right on top of a log, and you could see every digit perfectly. And this was about 2 weeks before the major eruption at St. Helens.
And this
kind of wild. So it's interesting hearing your story. So I appreciate that.
Right. Bigfoot's been seen up there big time up there. On the right where you're talking about, St. Helens. It's wasn't there a Boy Scout camp there back in the day? The guy that owned the place, Mount St. Helens, Harry Truman. Yeah, remember him?
Oh, yeah, you're talking about Harry Truman. Yeah,
Right,
he had a little camp up there.
Yeah,
we could rent a boat.
He had seen I told my grandfather that he had seen this big Sasquatch. And they kind of like, okay, Harry, whatever, you know. But I believe him. He was a little whacked out, but I mean, you know, the guy went down the mountain, and he was a mean man to us kids in those boats. I remember that much.
I remember Harry.
Yeah.
He was grumpy.
Yeah. Oh my God. Those that knew him, and we're just kids. Yeah. But my grandpa, they got along like God. They're unbelievable. Anyway, but
what was really interesting the day of that we saw it. Sorry if I interrupted you.
No, fine.
The day I was with a buddy of mine, and the only thing that we saw life-wise up there were elk. They were kind of going back and forth, a light dusting of ash, I guess from previous small eruptions. And then, once again, seeing the Bigfoot prints. And what was so remarkable about it, they just went on and on and on indefinitely.
Wow.
And so we just finally decided to go ahead. We walked far enough and then went back to the truck and took off. But that's my limited experience. So, Chris, hearing your experience is awesome. That's amazing. So thanks for sharing.
Yeah, I've had a bunch of them. I don't talk about them much, but a lot of people don't really want to hear it. So, you know, that's why I don't talk to them.
I think they really do want to hear it, but they're not going to tell you. I enjoy it.
This fear thing.
Yeah,
Yeah, I mean, it's weird.
it's a fear. It's a fear thing, and they may probably hear these stories and won't go camping now.
Well, that's the
That's
problem.
terrible,
And
Larry.
that is the
Terrible.
problem. Even for me, I have to. I mean, I you know, I mean, I was always out in the woods. I still
Yeah.
am, but I'm a little more careful going out by myself.
Right.
You
Yeah.
know, I mean, yeah, I
Well,
don't do that much.
I'm
If
from
I do, I'm going to be in my truck.
yeah, being from Olympia, Washington, around that area, we used to just go in those woods all the time and not think anything of it. And yeah, we would hear
Ditto.
certain things, but whatever. Now we're a little older. I don't hike as well as I used to. Trust me.
Yeah,
Anyway,
it seems to have ramped up a lot since then.
yes,
I think.
I think so
I don't.
too. I think social
Uh,
media has done that, Patrick and
Possibly.
Chris. I think that's really been an asset to the phenomena and Bigfoot, UFOs, and all that. And it's just getting bigger and bigger. And things are starting to change in this world that we live in. I don't know what's caused this, but it's
Why
happening.
does government hide it, though? That's the big question.
Well,
Why are they
eh,
take a very they lie about it
well, can't
all the
control
time.
the masses, you've got a problem. And let's control whatever they can control. That's just the way they are.
Yeah.
I don't have the answers for that, although I just, I'm my
I
own
mean, I
drummer.
worked in government, but
Yeah.
not that kind of work. But
Well, a lot of secret stuff.
I
They would,
I couldn't give you an answer.
well, back in the day, they'd come in with a team. Okay, you saw this. Where'd you see it at? And they would just cover the whole area. And of course, they wouldn't find anything. They're long gone. They just disappeared. You know how they do it. And they'd retrieve the retrieval of UFOs and all that. That's still a problem. So, yeah, yeah. I love my country, but I don't trust my government, folks. I'm just the way I believe. So,
Yeah, that's
yeah.
ditto here. So.
Yeah. Hey, Chris, we're over time, and I want to thank you for calling. The caller that called, I want to thank him. Turn that off. Patrick, thank you for calling. And but Chris, sincerely, I want to thank you very much. We'll have you on again. Always fun to talk about Bigfoot and Sasquatch. I'll tell you for sure.
Pretty interesting topic.
Yes.
But yeah, if I leave it with anybody, you really don't want to see him.
No.
It scares the shit out of you. I mean, it's terrible.
Yeah. Yeah. It's a fear that you don't want. Again, Chris, I'll be calling you back in a day or so. I want to get back from vacation, and we'll talk some more. Again, thank you so very much. And again, this is the Glenn Larry Show. Be well, sir. What a neat guest, folks. I'll tell you. Yeah, what a fun show tonight we had. To tell you for sure. Anyway, we've gone over our time. Of course, that's okay. I run the show, but we got to watch what we're doing. Again, we want to thank you so much, everybody, for listening and being a part of the show. This is the Glenn Larry Show. And like I say, have fun, play well, and, well, it's all about having fun on radio, right? Love you all. Thank you. See you in about a week and a half.